What is up, my friends? Welcome back to another video, and today we are taking a look at the newest Spitfire string library called Appassionata Strings. Very excited to go into this one because if you know my style of like good stuff, and when I saw this pop up, I was definitely interested. So big thank you to Spitfire for sending me a copy to take a look at for you guys. And today we'll be doing kind of a playthrough of the patch, show you how those strings work. And yeah, before we really dive in though, I want to give you my sample library buyers, maybe a guide to help you on your next library purchase, and I want to give you that absolutely free. So just click the link. It's basically $179 intro price. Regular price would be $250, which is right in line with about a lot of other legato string libraries. Let's say like Vista. CSS is like, I think it's $399, so $400, but that has many more articulation. And then section size wise, we have 8666, 86664, so 8, right? Like nothing huge and overly symphonic. Like there are symphonic strings. But the download size is 82 gigabytes, which is quite large, even for a legato string library size on your disk. So just keep that in mind as well. Demos sound really nice. And then they PP, MP, MF, F, and Fortissimo. And then there's some round robin impulse attack. Okay, so that's just a little bit of an overview of the patches, and generally you hear how the sound is quite reverberant. It really shines in the hall in Air Studios, and I have to admit, like this library kind of reminds me very much of Berlin Strings, the legato patches in there. Air Studios is a little bit wetter in general, and I believe this extra reverb, the St. Luke's, is also being applied to it. But the level of detail and the amount of vibrato in there, it very much matches the signature of what I'm hearing in Berlin Strings in Teldec Studio. And I really like the default mix, by the way. Like I have to say, the Mix 1, I think will serve my purposes fairly well. Mix 2 is a little bit too far for me, while Mix 3 and 4 are slightly too close. If you're interested in those, definitely check out the official walkthrough video on Paul's channel. But I've basically only been using the Mix 1 so far in my tests, and I've really enjoyed it so far. So I think it's just a really nice balanced mix. But yeah, a lot of your memory storage is coming from these mic positions. So you have the 4 main mixes, and you have the room, you have the mid mics, and then you have close ribbon, tree, ambient, and outriggers. So lots of options there. You can shape the sound however you want. If you know me though, I like to just load the patch and start playing right away. And most of the times when the libraries come with a default mix patch, I tend to like what it comes with, especially with like Cinebrass, for example, the Cinesamples library is very, very beautiful out of the box sound. So anyway, let's just have a quick listen to this little demo. Again, I put it together in like 10 minutes, so it's not super complicated. But all I did was play in the patches, legato, and then ride the mod wheel along with it. So this is what it sounds like. Of course, because I did not change them back to legato. Right. Sorry about that. Give me a second. And by the way, yeah, you could access this using key switches. I'm just not too much of a key switch guy unless it's something like I have to do in my sessions, but you can certainly set up key switches for this library as well. I just haven't really done it myself. But it was kind of cool to hear the shorts playing this anyway. So you definitely hear like the room, the tone of the hall is definitely in there, but the detail in the samples is also present. So I tried to kind of play at a softer dynamic at the beginning, and then in the latter sessions, you see that I've kind of pulled up the module for the violence one all the way up here. So let's have a listen to that one more time. Let me pull up the MIDI data so you can see everything. And you can see just using the string patches here, it's quite difficult to make a very full sounding chord when you only have 5 string parts and there's no DVC in there as well. I always try to limit myself to see how much I can get out of, you know, a limited number of voices, you know, to try to fill up a chord as much as possible. But yeah, this is over like 4 or 5 octaves anyway, so it's going to have some holes, of course. But generally, you can see what okay voicing, decent voicing does for the chords. And so you know, this is just to prove that, you know, less is generally more. So you can have a ton of instruments, but if they're not kind of playing the appropriate ranges or playing the appropriate notes to fill in the chords, then you can get a very muddied mess or something that sounds very thin and brittle. A lot of it does come down to the orchestration and arrangement. But going back to the library, generally a very, very beautiful sound, very rich and very creamy. I don't really have much experience with the other Spitfire libraries. Again, the only ones I did have were Abbey Road Iconic Strings 2, like the solo library, and then the Cinematic Frozen Strings. So other than that, I haven't really had experience with their ensemble legatos. So this is my first library with Spitfire ensemble string legatos, and it feels very good to me. Is it as smooth as, let's say, Cinematic Studio Strings and Vista? I don't think so. I think it's still a little bit bumpy compared, even something like Berlin Strings is slightly bumpy as well. And they have those kind of artifacts that are automatically put in there depending on your playing speed, the adaptive legato system in Berlin Strings. But you know, for most lines, for most melodic lines, I feel like this library would do a really, really nice job. And you might be wondering about the actual tone and passion of it. This is definitely less romantic, quote unquote, and less passionate than, let's say, CSS or Vista as well. Much more subdued, but they really only go super passionate in their upper, like, fortissimo range, it feels like, in this library. So even in the forte dynamic layers, you're not going to have a huge sense of vibrato. So even if you listen here. So I would say this is like the forte dynamic, and then push it up. There you get that extra vibrato there, right? And then you hear the vibrato fading away as you ride the mod wheel down. And so yeah, the mod wheel has a really nice dynamic range as well. Like, they capture those 5 dynamic layers, which are definitely present here. So just make sure that you're riding that mod wheel in real time while you're using the library. Very important as well. But yeah, that's generally it. I hope that gives you a sense of what the patches sound like. Again, if you want a little bit more in depth of a walkthrough of the different mic positions and all that, definitely check out the official walkthrough on Spitfire's channel. Paul does a really good job as always going through that stuff. But I just wanted to share with you my personal impressions. I can definitely see myself using this in combination with other libraries like maybe CSS or Vista, just to add an extra bit of creaminess and a layer of finesse on top of my existing string parts. This is definitely a very welcome addition. And I personally don't really mind that it's all legato, because I have other libraries to supplement these shorter articulations, namely like Araya and Cinematic Studio strings, even Tokyo scoring strings, which doesn't excel in the most passionate, sustains and legato. Their short notes are super biting and super crisp. So this, there's a lot of libraries that can really work well together, and this is one of them. So yeah, that's basically it. Thank you so much for watching. And again, if you don't have my sample library buyer's guide, I want to give that to you absolutely free. Just check it out. It basically has all my personal recommendations that I want to give you in case you're on the market for another string library or another library in general. I want to share with you what I think personally works really well and is generally affordable. And I want to put that in your hands totally free. So again, just click the link below. It'll take you straight there. And it's my thank you to you again for checking out this video today. I'll catch you in the next one. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and cheers. Bye-bye.